Okay, so if everyone's up to speed on this, um, some guy, Seth Hatfield, took it upon himself to write a manifesto and then decide to become an anti-hero by taking a gun to a Jewish neighborhood in Montreal. And I think this was really thoroughly planned out. And if you can't discern that that's sarcasm, then maybe you should watch some videos of some actual psychopaths. You know, um, this guy, this Seth Hatfield. I don't think he was psycho. I really don't. I think that he was a very. I don't want to say disturbed because that sounds cliche. Because actually, I'm kind of impressed. I'm impressed by this, by the passion to write a 104-page manifesto. You know, if I'm gonna say anything to anyone, if you're gonna write a manifesto, don't fucking make it 100 pages long. Like for the sake of Christ, like just please don't. If you want anybody to read this stuff, try to keep it to less than 10 pages. For fuck's sakes, you know. Propaganda is only, and I'm not saying this as to condone what Seth has done here, because as I put in a post on Facebook, and I will link to this video, I'm not impressed. Uh, I'm at a loss for words. I'm not entertained by this. I'm really not. Um, Canada is supposed to be different, right? We're not supposed to allow for, or we're not supposed to tolerate acts of, well, by definition, this is a hate crime, right? By the actual legal definition, Seth Hatfield committed a hate crime, and he paid for it with his life. And it's just, I'm so disappointed. I just don't. I'm trying to comprehend um what finally flipped the switch for Mr. Hatfield to drive all the way from fucking Alberta to Montreal to what, shoot up a synagogue, and then he ends up killing a rabbi by mistake. And then in the crossfire, a police officer is shot and killed. And then another police officer, as the murky details, this civilian guy was shot in the crossfire, um, by supposedly by a police officer. Yeah, Michael Mizrahi, excuse me. And like, my heart goes out to the police officer holding the gun. And typically I'm not really interested in getting close to you guys. I'd rather just flash you obscene gestures and try to make you laugh occasionally. um I've got a completely different job to do than you guys. I really do. And I know that's it, sometimes that's at odds with all of you. So just be patient, okay? Things will change. They will get better, as long as we're all participating and doing our due diligence. But I cannot do my job with both my hands tied behind my back, and that's how I feel in this moment, because there is no definition for what I do with the history of propaganda, and like this journey and the trauma that I've incurred, to bring to light individuals like this, unfortunately, I may just shed a tear for Seth. It's like, I my it's not my pity. It's just like, I what a waste. What a waste. By all accounts, just an absolute waste. And you go out and you shoot a religious leader. You know, like, what the fuck was the name of the guy that shot um, Malcolm X? Can anybody tell me off the top of their heads who was the guy that shot Malcolm X? Or not Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. And no, nobody knows, right? No one cares. No one cares as to who the guy was that shot Martin Luther King. Only that Martin Luther King was assassinated, right? That's the important part here. Just this. Oh my God. Seeking an end to the searing pain through an act of suicide. Um, this guy was most certainly having an existential crisis, Um, and isolation is a choice. It really is. Even though I said to my mother earlier, effectively, because of circumstance and because of geography, I myself individually, I don't have any friends, right? Um, they either live the people that used to be my friends either live in different places in the country, or they've families and they have very little free time, or like they work the evening shift or something like that. So like, uh here I am, me, myself, and I, with the uh, the empty nest of my family here, with my mother dreaming of having another dog, and and what am I doing in the meantime for entertainment? I'm looking at stuff like this, you know. I'm looking at stuff like this. And why am I doing this? Like, what the fuck am I doing this for? I remember hearing wisdom, right? It was provide a solution, and the money comes after. I'm really not confident in this moment that there's money for something like this. It just it's a paradox, right? It's simple and easy to understand, but not that easy or simple to elaborate and explain to someone else as to what I'm actually doing. This, so like, again, I may actually read this whole thing, but it goes on for, oh god, like 100 pages. It's just like, this guy combating the hypergamy state, like, he does have some valid points. He really does. It's important to recognize and validate the factual things that these people talk about, because if they so happen to survive the incident, then you have all the more intelligence to gain from them that is not derived from the modeling provided by artificial intelligence. Okay, so based on the structure of the document, the author first lays out his political and racial grievances, including anti-Semitism, anti-Zionist claims. Before turning, it describes the situation of terrible loneliness, isolation, and social degradation facing men in the West. What should be done about it henceforth? Again, fuck's sakes, man. if someone didn't fucking see this like I don't know, years ago, this guy was popping warning signs like years and years before this happened. Like I swear to Gordani, like this guy was fucking. He was asking for attention. Right? He was crying out for it. No doubt in my mind. He just didn't know how to go about it, and that's the problem in in our society is and also the because of the repercussions of the technology of our era, where it's again it's the individualized echo chamber of each person, being fed by only what and what's related to your interests. So like, fuck, man. And now he's talking about weightlifting. God damn, he just didn't get it. He did not understand. He didn't get the memo. He didn't read the character sheet. Right. He just decided to go off on his own script. And I'm just about to fart. Oh, I farted. Okay, so I just farted. Anyways, uh, the there's the ways to go about this to actually influence society and to shape the future of the country, and it has nothing to do with something like this, right? Um, I'll say the same of gun control, quite frankly, or anything that is done as a corrective reaction to something like this. For example, the Montreal massacre at the Polytechnique, right, where then that was used as the motivation to ban and then confiscate, plan a confiscation scheme of hundreds of different designs of guns, and eliminating in reality eliminating the firearm does not stop someone from committing an act like this, so like becoming an active shooter. um, the younger and more immature people of us like to think that if you poke and prod someone enough that they'll act like the character in Falling Down, right? Like, well, they'll just they'll become a gay super Nazi overnight. It doesn't happen like that. It really doesn't. People signal what they're doing all the time, whether they're conscious of it or not. Because most of our communication is through our body language, and even the mentally uh, incompetent, because that's the actual reality of it, is that if you again retarded used in the context of a mental a person not necessarily having learning disabilities, but their brains are physically different. And I'm not saying neurodivergent. I mean that they do not have the capacity to make their own decisions. And holy man, just imagine for a second. I'm gonna describe a scenario to you, okay? And this more or less has to do with the correct information in the wrong kind of hands, right? Good information in the wrong hands is more dangerous than bad information in good hands. So there was this person I was forced to share quarters with. Initially I thought he was okay, but the deception, the veneer wore off very quickly, and he started to show why he was behind bars. And he there was this book. It was written by a Finnish person, a Finnish fella, and it was like, um, it was this thick volume, this academic volume. I have the title written down somewhere. About radical communism, and I'm not even sure that he even comprehended or understood what he was looking at. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter that it was an academic paper that was reviewed by other persons, and then no, defended even as a semi manifesto, because that's what it read like. It read like a dissertation mixed with a manifesto. And if I can find a copy of that again, then I'll read it. But the author was self-aware. He was very much conscious of what he was doing. But this guy, I again, I I cry because he's dead. For all the wrong reasons, and that he felt like he had to take it into his own hands. Um, it, but it's like, he could have been a professor, looking at this stuff. He could have had himself a doctorate, but he didn't. He didn't pursue a doctorate, right? He didn't try to write a book, or try to work this out in more conducive means. I'm not going to say productive. I'm going to say conducive. And what I sorry, I didn't quite finish the train of thought about this person, uh, whom should be very familiar to some of you park rangers and gym owners. That it didn't matter what the contents of the book were, or what his precognition of what the book was. It was the fact that he held it, and that he had it, and that someone else wanted it, and that was the only reason why he possessed it. But if it continued to be in his possession, it would have been destroyed. Like, it would just been physically torn apart. And that is, to me, a microcosm of the lesser part of humanity, which is basically the majority of our kin, um, for reasons that so many people have attempted to uh, make more communicable from the abstract. I'm going to read this quote from Plato that's in here. Even when you have achieved or gained or followed or founded something, you have never quite finished. Only when you have ensured complete and perpetual security for your creation can you reckon to have done everything that ought to have been done. Until then, it's a case of unfinished business. Uh, I think that's taken out of context. I really do. Is again, there's a lot of mental gymnastics in this. Fuck. And I'm gonna end this at just under 20 minutes before, and I might actually do. I might actually refute what this guy's talking about. Because it just feels like he was working on information that was, from like 5 to 10 years ago. It reads very much out of touch. The internet and young people have really moved on from most of this stuff, and it's time is that we do too. Uh, Kill them all. I don't know. I don't know where people get the idea that openly threatening other people is going to help them achieve their goals. Every time that you put a bullet in someone, there's someone that's not going to be very happy about that. And if they're really motivated, they'll plan the next 20 to 25 years and include their children on their revenge. And then they turn it into a war of civilizations, because we're just monkeys with AK-47s. And when you keep that in mind, you start to smile a little bit more, But how predictable we can be is really, it really just makes you want to leave this world behind. Um, and having observed the what turns someone into an extremist, um, you know, it just they just slowly drift away, or they start breaking up friend groups for the purposes of their own political means. And I'm just going to end this with a reminder to all of you who happen to actually listen to me and, um, uh, give me cred, some credibility by doing so, is that weak people manipulate, strong people negotiate, right? Because what that means is that manipulation, or what that implicates or implies, is that um, manipulation is from someone that doesn't have impulse control. And that's really a determining factor of someone's success. Seth, you dumb motherfucker. Why'd you do this, man? Why'd you do this? Just really, really sad. There's better ways to fight Israel, man. Why'd you go shoot someone in Montreal? It's fucking stupid.